Hi guys, what's going on? Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel where I focus on early game and mid game stuff. Today's video is one that I'm quite passionate about. It's going to be about all the free champions that we get in this game. I think Plarium has done a great job of implementing these. They have helped us in the past to progress. They have helped us in the past to take certain hurdles in the game. And I think they have made sure that progression can feel nice and well-paced as well, at least in my opinion, just because these fusions or these free champions are either guaranteed or you will have to do some work in the game. And when you start out, you have in the past you had very bad champions. These days you have better champions, but still you definitely need more in order to tackle the different areas. And these free champions and these fusions made sure that we were able to tackle these different areas like Clan Boss, Spider, the different dungeons, arena, just progression in general. And I think that it is very interesting to see that Plarium tries to promote the game by giving us free champions, free promo code champions, free download links. And they are giving us quite a few champions, but I think they are neglecting the free champions that we are getting from the game. And especially those champions that you need to put some work in. I have Razen Scarhide here on the screen because I think he is one of the greatest examples that these permanent fusions that we have in the game, they are available for everybody at any time. And they can really be an incentive to continue playing the game and to try to get these champions. Unfortunately, not all of these champions that we can get still have the same value that they had 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And I think Plarium is really missing out here. I think they are really missing out the opportunity to give us a good incentive to progress in the game, a good incentive to play the game in order to get these champions, in order to progress even further. The reason for that is that these champions have been implemented 5 years ago and they haven't been changed since. And that is a real problem, I think. The way I want to approach this is I want to make a tier list with all the champions that we get within the first 6 months. And then I want to look at those champions and see where they might improve, where they could use a buff in order to get back into the meta, into the rosters of all of us playing new accounts, playing Raid Shadow Legends in general, because I think they, the champions that we get can be very nice, or they have nice kits. They are just lackluster these days. All right, so I have tried to figure out all the free champions or all the champions that we can get within the first 6 months in the game, and I've put them down here. And yeah, I thought I would just, first talk about their value a bit, and yeah, we can go from there talking about possible buffs for these champions. Now, let me just put these down here really quickly, and I don't think I want to talk about them too much. I think I do have to mention Dark Elhain, because she is probably the best out of these down here, but I wouldn't want to take her to 60. You can use her in Ice Golem because she can resist some freezes and she does decent damage, but I think there is better ways or other ways to finish Ice Golem. Ice Golem isn't the core content of the game anymore. She also used to have some niche use case in Arena alongside her damage and being a torment counter, but that is really over. I think so, yeah, nothing really to talk about there. You could buffer a bit. I don't really see I don't really see why or where. Some epics are just not too great, and that's fine. I think, that being said, she's still a decent damage dealer. Jizzo, I do want to mention him just because he can be a very budget provoker for Hydra. Wouldn't take him to 60 though, isn't worth it because he doesn't bring you any more utility. Lordly Legionnaire, I think, is an interesting champion. We get him after 5 months for free. From daily login, and he is a Fire Knight specialist, and he can still have some use there, but I think if you make a Fire Knight specialist, at least make him good enough so that people actually do want to build him. Me, for example, I'm 1.5 months into this game, and I'm running Fire Knight in the background right now, stage 20, so I'm definitely not going to build Lordly Legionnaire. Lordly Legionary? There might be an incentive to build him, though, if he was properly strong for Fire Knight, you know? He brings a 2-hitter on the A1, possibly a 4-hitter if there is 100% heal reduction out there. That can be strong, but he doesn't bring heal reduction himself. And I think it can be annoying to bring another champion having heal reduction on the kit if you wouldn't bring that champion anyways. So I think put heal reduction in his kit and there would be nice synergy. This skill is lackluster anyways, attacks one enemy, like a single hit is bad for the Fire Knight and he's supposed to be a specialist. So either make this a 2-hit or do both. Make it a 2-hit and put heal reduction on this next to the decreased speed debuff, and then this skill would have more use case and synergy with his A1. And then we also have a reflect damage and a continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns. Not a bad skill for Fire Knight, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown. We have rare champions that do this on a 2-turn cooldown. A bit less healing. I think they only Felhound does 7.5% continuous heal, but the continuous heal is not what we are looking for here. We're looking for the reflect damage, and if you give him this skill, make it a 2-turn or make it a 3-turn and give that buff for 3 turns on all allies, so that that buff is actually up all the time. And that would mean that this guy is actually strong for Fire Knight and that you would actually want to use him in Fire Knight in opposition to now. All right. That was a lot of time talking about Lordly Legionnaire. I think we can go to more important champions now. Haiketune, it's quite interesting. I've just talked about epic champions in a tier list that I've made, or not really a tier list, but I've just talked about all the strong epic champions in the game for progression in one of my videos, if you want to check that out. And I think I gave Haiketune a bit too much credit. She is still an option if you want to look for a speed champion to take to level 60. She gives you increased speed, which is still like the core buff of the game, because speed is the core stat of the game. But she doesn't bring you much more than that increased speed, and I think that has to change. She is overall a good speed champion, but there is other epic champions out there who have so much more utility next to that increased speed. I mean, she gives you a turn meter fill as well, which is alright. On a 4-turn cooldown, 75% chance to decrease the enemy's turn meter by 15%. Make it a 3-turn, make it 100%, then this might be alright. Maybe put some more utility on there, maybe a leech, maybe decrease attack, something of that sort. And the A1 gives you a 40% chance of placing a decreased speed. Make it a 2-time hitter, just a bit more utility. Give it a 50% on each hit, and then the decreased speed would be more reliable. I think that would just make her a bit more viable in more areas. This being 100% and on a 3-turn, you could even bring her into Spider then, or she would be more useful than she is now, and this would give her some Fire Knight utility. These free champions, I think they should really be focused on carrying people through these mid-game dungeons. I'm calling them mid-game dungeons these days because Dragon, Fire Knight, Spider, maybe like stage 20 of these dungeons can definitely be called early game. And these dungeons, like, there is so much stuff in the game these days that I think Plarium should really give us champions that can really get us through these early and mid-game dungeons relatively easily. One for a good feeling of progression, and the other so that we can tackle more content of the game. And that's why I'm going to talk quite a bit about Spider and Fire Knight as well, because those can be thresholds still if we don't have the right champions in our roster. So like I said, I feel like Haiketune has fallen off in comparison to the past, mainly or partially because champions like Archmage Helmut have been added. And Archmage I've also talked about in my epic progression list, which is quite funny because I gave Haiketune a bit too much credit, I think, and I gave Archmage a bit of a hard time. I think I didn't give him credit for what he really is, because he is a great champion. He gives you increased speed. Like, it's funny because I've talked about Jiskar, and I think they have very similar utility, whilst increased speed is more important than increased defense, at least there is an argument to be made there. And he has such great utility on the side, and at the same time I did favor Giscard over Helmut, I think. So increase speed, increase crit damage, crit rate is not too important, 3-turn cooldown, and then give him crit rate, and he is going to give you a 75% chance of a stun on the whole enemy team. Also decreases enemy turn meter without stuns, so a bit of extra utility there. And he gets a turn meter fill on the A1 if the attack is critical by 20%. He's immune to turn meter reduction, nice for arena, gives you an arena aura. He's just a champion that can help you in waves and so many areas pretty easily. So he's a nice champion, I think. And then we are done. No, not quite. I thought we were done with the epics, but not quite. We have Broadmoor. I think he's decent. You can use him. He's definitely a very important fusion to get points for champion chase tournaments or in CVC, because you can do that fusion as often as you want to, and the champion can be your faction war reviver. He even has a little bit more utility in his kit, which would mean that you can use him in dungeons as well for a while if you don't have another reviver, but he's not that amazing. Yeah, small case to be made that he is, you could take him to 60. I would only take him to 50 though. That is us done with the epics, so let us look at the legendaries now. I think we can get these two out of the way fairly quickly. Mithrala and Lydia, both S tier champions, absolutely amazing. Get them, use them everywhere until endgame, and be happy if you can get them. The only reason I think Mithrala you can actually get within the first 6 months fairly easily, depending on how well you're able to build your Hydra team relatively early. Lydia, I've seen that people made it, finished Faction Wars within the first 6 months. I'm not gonna do that. That's like crazy sweaty gameplay. That's crazy. Crazy much time invested, crazy many resources invested. I'm not gonna do that. And it's I wouldn't have fun doing it. So yeah, but I saw that it is actually possible. And that leaves us with these legendaries down here, which I do want to talk a bit more about. Let's get Arbiter out of the way first, because I think Plarium has done a very good job on Arbiter. She is still very viable these days. She is not somebody you want to call out for a specific area, and she does not have a very specific use case in endgame, but she is a great progression champion, and you can still bring her into quite a few areas in endgame, and she is still going to help you out. So Plarium has brought this champion into Raid 6 years ago when the game started, and she has been the main promo champion for this game since then. And she was amazing back then, S-tier champion, but she is still viable today. And I think that's really great. That's really great. That's well done. She could probably use a little bit of a buff here and there. You could just, improve her revive. Consider her decrease of enemy buffs. Maybe give her a boost there. You could improve her a bit these days, but I don't think it is too necessary because she's still strong. Still of the Drakes has had a bit of a hard time in comparison. Like, I think she has fallen off a bit more than Arbiter. She is still a great champion. Take her to 6-star. Not only for Faction Wars. Depending on where your account is at when you get her. I mean, it's 6 months into the game, but still, depending on where your account is at, especially if you've taken the game, like if you've played relatively relaxed, then she is going to boost your account by quite a bit. She is an amazing support. She gives you damage on the side. Just so much overall utility. But there is no area that she really shines, So I think you could, and here we go again with Fire Knight and Spider, you could give her or improve her kit in certain areas just a tiny bit, so that she is more viable for Fire Knight or for Spider. That would be very useful, I think. Like this one, for example, I had the idea that this stun is on a... each hit has a 35% chance to stun. Maybe just improve that by saying if the enemy has 5... If there are 5 or more enemies, this chance of a stun increases by 5% for each enemy alive. That would be like... That would make it viable for Spider, whilst not improving that stun on the average enemy wave or arena or something like that. So that would be interesting, I think. Also, she has ally protection and a revive, and she has a very nice heal, a very nice passive heal, and gives increased speed on a random ally for 2 turns. This is going to be up on 2 allies most of the time. And so I thought maybe give her a cheeky little ally attack. Maybe say that each ally having an increased speed placed by Sill of the Drakes joins the attack when Sill of the Drakes attacks. That just gives her a bit more utility, and it's going to make her viable for Fire Knight. So I think that would be very interesting as well. But I think her kit is just so... there are so many options where you could improve her kit that there's probably 1,000 ideas out there what you could do to improve her. But I thought these 2 ideas... I did like these 2 ideas that I had when I was preparing this video. Jannika, I like her a lot. I think she's a fun champion. She gives you very strong damage when she's under Perfect Veil. Her A1 becomes an AoE, her A3 is an AoE, and the A2 is a single target, high damage skill, which gives you an extra turn. And so she can be very fun in arena, just nuking down one enemy and then going in with the AoE afterwards. And even if you don't kill the enemy, chances are your AoE is going to kill at least that champion that you attacked in the first place. She can be nice for Hydra, she can be fun and very interesting. And I'm looking forward to getting her at some point, but I have chosen Jakkarl to get first from the clan shop. And there is quite a lot of resources in the clan shop that you might also want to get, especially early game. So I didn't want to invest into both of them right from the start. And Jakkarl is absolutely amazing because he brings you so much CC, turn meter decrease on bosses. He is nice for Fire Knight hard. You can use him as a damage dealer in arena and giving you CC at the same time. I'm very much looking forward to playing around with him. And so I would rank him higher than Jannika just because of that utility that he brings you in different areas. All right, now we actually come to that point where I am going to have to try to hold my horses, because I think these champions, all these champions that we've ranked so far, there is definitely a case to be made that they could be improved in certain areas. And some of them are great, some of them are not that great, but I think that is something that needs to be the case for the balance of the game. You can't just have all amazing champions, but I think some of these could still be improved. Now, Dragstar and Razin, on the other hand, these 2 make me a bit sad, just because there is so much potential there, and it's not easy to get them. It's not easy to get them. And at the same time, these 2 could help you so much more than they do right now. And Plarium could really make it worth our while to get them. As it is right now, I'm not having too much fun going for them. I'm not going for Dragstar at all. And Razin, I'm like kind of checking on the side that I can get him at some point. But I'm not looking forward to getting Razin, just because he's not that great anymore, unfortunately. He used to be a great champion, just like Dragstar. There is still use, he still has use in the game, but the use has declined in my opinion. But I'm probably still going to build Razin at some point. The way that it is right now, I'm not going to build Dragstar. I'm not going to build Dragstar, even though you could. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying I am not, because I'm looking for different kind of burners. I'm not looking for him, to be quite honest. But let us talk about their kits. And I think it would be very, very easy to improve their kits and make them viable once again, and make them fun once again, and give us a big incentive to go for these champions. I love the design for Razin, by the way. I think he looks really great. A bit old school, obviously, but I mean, he is old school. Plain, but still great. His neck always creeped me out because, I don't know, it's so round. Never mind. Oh yeah, and the inside of the shield, I actually like that. That little list that he's scratching off on the inside of his shield, which also looks pretty amazing. All right, but let's talk about the kit. This skill is the reason why he is still very, very much viable in different areas in the game, and why you can still argue that he is still usable in especially boss fights. Decreased defense and a weaken on a 3-turn cooldown on a single enemy. That's a great skill. He also deals some proper damage, or some decent damage. So I would leave that as is. But the A1 and the A3 are just so lackluster these days. The A1 has a 45% chance of removing one random buff from the target. Why is that so low? I mean, if you want to get some utility out of this, bump up that chance. As it is right now, you can't rely on this. You can't rely on this at all in any area to do anything for you, especially looking at clan boss. If you have a 45% chance to remove that increased attack from the clan boss, you can't count on it, and chances are, when it doesn't work at certain times, then your team is going to wipe, just because this chance was so low. If you want to increase or improve his utility, just bump this up a bit. Maybe make it a 45% chance on every hit. That would mean that the increased attack is very likely going to be removed. Also, if you would bump this up, I would personally bump this up even a bit more, just so he would have more use in stuff like potion keeps. This would be a nice thing in arena. It might even help you a bit in other areas. It wouldn't be crazy busted, but it would really give you just that bit of utility that you need from him in order to make him stronger and better, and not just bring him because of a decreased defense and weaken, but also because of this. And then also, I think hit this year on a 6-turn cooldown, decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 100%, but it's on a 6-turn cooldown. We get champions, or there are champions in the game right now. 3-turn cooldown steals 100% of the enemy's turn meter. AoE. Steal. And this is only a decreased turn meter, and it's on a 6-turn cooldown compared to a 3-turn cooldown. That's so insane to me. I don't understand this. Make this a 4-turn cooldown, then this is viable against waves, then this would be more useful in arena, and that would mean A1 more useful in clan boss, A2 still useful against bosses and useful in clan boss, A3 means that going up to the boss, you can you have utility against the waves and also in arena, and that would make him overall useful again. And please bump up his speed. He's at 91 speed. That is so slow. Makes it pretty hard to build him. A resistance in arena is, by the way, a very interesting aura, especially because that's 90. That's so high. But get his speed to over 100, like 100 to 105, somewhere between there, and I would be happy with that. I think there's not much that needs to be changed about him. But if those changes were to be made, he would be a substantially better champion without being busted. And I think that would really profit the game, and it would profit newer players. Dragster Blood Twin, now, very similar case. I think he has an interesting kit. I think he has a good kit. But, I mean, legendary champion, 60% provoke. Why? Why? A 60% provoke, and he doesn't bring you that much more. I mean, he brings HP burns, but on a 75% chance, HP burn when he is attacked. But he isn't going to be attacked that much because his provoke is bad, and also the provoke isn't going to be up all the time. So make this 100% at least, and still he wouldn't be attacked all the time. But that would make him viable for stuff like Spider and Hydra again. Like I said, you can still use him, but there are so many better burners out there who also give you more utility. So I really won't invest the resources. I might try to get him or go for him at some point just to get points in a tournament, but I won't build him. Even when I have him, I wouldn't build him. I wouldn't invest the resources. Definitely not the legendary tomes. So make this 100%, like just bump that up, make it a 80% provoke, and then you have a chance to get it to 100 with this. And also bump this up. Why would it be a 55% chance? And the A1 has a 30% chance of placing an HP burn debuff on a single target. Why? Why? A single target HP burn debuff. That's really weird. It's just weird, to be quite honest. I think a 3-time hitter is very nice. In my opinion, it would be very fun if you had a 100% provoke and then a better chance to place HP burn when he is attacked, make it 100% in my opinion. And then make this a 1. I think it would be interesting if this was a mini ninja, because that would make Dragster more viable against bosses. Make this a mini ninja and say something, I would probably try to phrase it like this, has a 50% chance on each hit to immediately tick off an HP burn, if there is an HP burn on the enemy, to immediately tick off an HP burn without reducing the cooldown of the HP burn, you know? So you have a 50% chance on each hit to make that HP burn damage without reducing the cooldown on the enemy. So that, like I said, like it's a mini ninja. And I think that would make him super interesting and viable in so many areas where he really isn't these days, in my opinion. I think that there's quite a few people who still utilize him. I just think that you could use him without, like, I was just about to say that maybe you could use him without books. Just because the books are such an important resource. You might take him to 60 but not use any books. But if you don't put books into him, it's only a 40% chance of a provoke. You know, that's just sad, in my opinion. And it's unfortunate, like I said. I think Plarium is really missing out here on a chance for us, but also on a chance for themselves to incentivize people to stick to the game and to keep playing it, because an HP burner is actually something that's a huge threshold for Spider and for Hydra. And Razen Scarhide, a decent damage dealer for Clan Boss, but also for other places. Decrease defense and weaken, also something that you need on the Spider and in other areas. Also something that you really need on every single account. So these two have been great in the past. They have been great. It has been a great idea to implement them into the game, but you can't just leave them as they were 5 years ago, nowadays that the game is so different. All right. Rant over, little rant, not a real rant, but a little rant. I really hope that Plarium changes these at some point. I think my ideas are interesting, but I'm sure there are other ideas out there. What is your take on these 3 champions? Do you agree with my list? Do you think something should be different? Do you agree with my buff ideas? Do you think some buff ideas should be different? Because I think thinking about buffs for champions is actually very fun. Yeah, and I'm very interested in your ideas. So that's it for today. That's it for the video. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you all have a great day and you, yeah, just have a great one, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then.